Welcome to the Nathan Nephew Show. I am Nathan Nephew, your host here. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. I had, three official Thanksgiving dinners at three different places, and then, of course, leftovers. Finally finished those up, so that's good. Luckily, not all of the places we had dinner forced us to take some home. One of them did, but the other one took the excuse that our fridge was full, and let us run with it. So that was definitely good news. But no, send me an email. I have to tell you, I do appreciate the feedback I've gotten from everybody. So hopefully, some more of you can send some of your feedback in. talk@nathannephew.com, or you can look me up on Facebook. I'm not too hard to find. Just you Google my name and you'll find it. You'll also find how to purchase my book. Christmas is coming. MyParentsOpenCarry.com. You can find the book I wrote with my co-host on At Odds, Brian Jeffs. My Parents Open Carry. It's a book about a kid whose parents openly carry a firearm for protection, and they walk around town. They run some errands and things, walk around town and whatnot, and meet people both pro-gun and anti-gun, and have discussions on self-defense, Second Amendment, the government's role, why not just let the police protect you, those sorts of things. And then they end up at the gun range to practice their skills like all gun owners should do. It's a pretty good book. It's a good conversation starter. It's a good way to bring up the subject with your children, young teens, even a little younger than that. Hopefully you've already taught them about firearm safety, but maybe you haven't talked about the responsibility of self-defense, and maybe you haven't talked about why you carry a gun, or why Uncle John carries a gun, or whatever. But it's a good way to start that conversation. MyParentsOpenCarry.com. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to mix things up a little bit, and I'm going to actually not start right off going through the next section of the Constitution. We are on Article VI, I believe. Let me check my notes here. Yes, Article VI. So we're getting pretty close to the amendments, almost through the Constitution of the United States as ratified. And then unless I get feedback otherwise, remember, talk@nathannephew.com. I'll go through the amendments. Definitely the Bill of Rights. I think that's important. Everyone knows the First Amendment. Everyone knows in general what the Second Amendment says. But we get the argument from the left that it doesn't say what it actually does say. So we'll go through that a little bit. Third Amendment. Any idea what that is? Most people don't know. If you ask them, they wouldn't know. They would, when you told them what it is, it's, oh yeah, I knew that was in there. I just didn't know it was the Third Amendment, Fourth, Fifth. We hear the Fifth Amendment a lot, but Sixth, Seventh, Eighth, Ninth, 10th, past that, does anybody really know what they are? I mean, there definitely are people who do know, but I would say the majority of Americans, and I think in this audience is not typical of the American people, I don't think. I think many of you know a hell of a lot more about the Constitution, about the founding of this nation, about history in general, than the vast majority of the American public knows. And on one level, that's great. It's great to be able to spend time and preach to the choir. I'm going to say it's nice to be able to talk to people who get it, who really get it, and what you are tasked with, and what I'm tasked with, and what I hope we can all follow through on, is getting the majority of the people that don't get it or don't care to get it. They don't know that they don't get it, which is the problem I see in a lot of cases. People just think they know everything they need to know because they got good grades in history class, in high school, in college. They did great. They did all the reading. They don't understand that they really didn't get the whole story. They don't understand that there's more to it than you were taught in school. They don't understand that in some cases you were lied to. You were told something that wasn't true at all. But this group, it's great because we can talk about it, which is what I'm doing. I mean, I might be boring some of you going through the Constitution each week, but I think it's important, and hopefully you can share some of these with your friends and say, hey, you know, I mean, he doesn't go into depth, but when's the last time you read the Constitution? If you don't want to read it, you can listen to this guy read it, basically. Hopefully this can be a tool to kind of get the word out, a little education. I mean, I know I went to a couple smaller tea parties in the area, where I used to live, not here, but they were putting on seminars, basically classes. You can go and they would teach you about the Constitution and what different parts of it meant. And it was a broad overview. The one I went to, or the series I went to, and got certificates saying, hey, congratulations, you sat there and you didn't snore too loudly for us to kick you out. But that's the sort of thing that we need to do, and anybody can do that. Get a room at the local library, post some flyers, you know, and read the Constitution. You'll be able to find lawyers and historians that you know actually care about the truth. People like that, they want to talk to groups of people that are interested in, because in general, they don't meet too many people in the public that are just gung-ho about learning about history or the Constitution. It's just not, we have too much going on with Facebook and current events and celebrities. There's too much going on in this country to really worry at all about what happened in the past. So I guess the bottom line is I hope that I'm doing a good thing here. I hope I am helping some people get a conversation started or trigger something in your memory. Say, no, I remember that. Let me go look that up and see exactly why that was put in the Constitution, and maybe talk to my neighbors about it. But like I said, since I just rambled on about the Constitution for a while, and I said I was going to wait, all right, let's go ahead. I'll go into it. I was going to switch things around. Maybe next week I'll surprise you and actually switch things around, but let's go into Article VI. I'll do Article VI and Article VII today. That'll be the end of the Constitution as ratified, and then we can move on to the amendments next week. Article 6. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. All debts, all contracts, everything that was put in place before this Constitution was ratified, before the United States of America was officially formed, all of those debts are still valid. So the United States isn't going to try to we're not a deadbeat nation, right? We owe people money. We still owe them money. We have contracts. Those contracts are still valid. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. So, the Constitution, any laws made in the pursuance of the Constitution, all treaties that have been made or will be made under the authority of the Constitution shall be, which means is, for sure, the law of the land. Which means, if the Constitution doesn't authorize it, you can't do it. No. If the Constitution prohibits it, you can't do it. That applies to the states. The judges in states, every state, must follow the Constitution. They are bound by the Constitution. Any state law that's made contrary to the Constitution, like that, I don't know, infringes on the right to self-defense, to keep and bear arms, cannot stand, according to Article 7. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So, there's an oath of office to take, just like the president. This says senators and representatives of the United States and the several states, which means the state legislatures, executive and judicial officers, so judges as well, presidents, governors, need to take an oath of office, an oath of office saying they will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to office. So, we can't require a candidate or somebody who's going to take office to be of a certain religion or have certain beliefs. This is the separation of church and state that we hear about. It's part of it. That is Article VI. Article VII. The ratification of the conventions of 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states, so ratifying the same. So, conventions in 9 states ratify the Constitution. That's enough to say that this Constitution is in place, in effect, for those 9 states. Not the other states. If they don't ratify and sign it, they're not part of this union. But we need at least 9 states, and once we get 9 states to approve of it, the Constitution is in effect. And that is the end. The next is the amendments, the Bill of Rights. We have the preamble. We'll go through that and then go through the first set of amendments, and we'll go on from there and probably make it through all of the amendments at some point. I may kind of slow down a bit. I might not. I don't know. Send me an email. Let me know what you think. I'm going to take a quick break, though. I'll come back. Obama talking about minimum wage again. Liberals think that's a great idea, as well as a man that was arrested for stealing electricity from a school. It turns out he plugged his electric vehicle into it. I'll be right back.
When it comes to TV, if you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best value in entertainment. Not only will you find the same channels you know and love for less, Dish sweetens the deal with free HD for life and premium movie channels free for 3 months, including Blockbuster at home. You can also save a bundle when you combine DishNet high-speed internet with your TV service. Why would you ever pay more for TV? Switch to Dish and see what real value is. Free HD for life, premium channels free for 3 months, scores of movies with Blockbuster at home, premium savings when you bundle DishNet high-speed internet service. Limited time offer, 24-month agreement with credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Call for details.
Call Dish Satellite, your Dish authorized retailer now. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. 800-507-9468. That's 800-507-9468.
Red State Talk Radio is All American Talk Radio.
The Nathan Nephew Show. Somewhat unique.
Somewhat unique?
Yes, somewhat unique.
All right, welcome back to the Nathan Nephew Show. Of course, I am Nathan Nephew. Once again, I want to remind you to check out the book I wrote with co-host of At Odds, Brian Jeffs, My Parents Open Carry. Check it out on myparentsopencarry.com. It's an excellent, excellent, excellent Christmas gift for anybody, really. It was written kind of to get the conversation started with young teens or somewhere in that, 8 to 13, 14-year-old range. Whenever you think your child's ready to start talking about self-defense, not necessarily how to implement it themselves, but why it's important to rely on yourself and be responsible for yourself and your family, and why you think it's so important, why you love them so much to carry a firearm to protect them. MyParentsOpenCarry.com. I want to start out with Barack Obama. It's no surprise that, again, he's out there talking about minimum wage, saying, well, how can you live when they're making minimum wage in a full-time job? If you have a full-time job and you make minimum wage is $14,000 a year. Okay, so there's some weird statistic, or not statistic. If you add it up, you make minimum wage. I think I saw the number $14,000 a year if you're making $7.25 an hour. Okay, well, first of all, there aren't a lot of full-time jobs without overtime that are minimum wage. There just aren't a lot of them. Compared to the number of full-time jobs, most of them are not minimum wage. Most jobs are above minimum wage, in fact. The minimum wage jobs are generally jobs that should be minimum wage jobs. We're talking about fast food or things like that just really, they're not meant to be careers. They're meant to be starter jobs or transition jobs or jobs that you don't need a large skill set to complete. Generally, you get paid for your ability and for the actual work that you're doing. Now, Obama and the rest of the liberals, he was at Center for American Progress. And it's a liberal think tank. It's a place he fits in great. He's talking about the minimum wage. He wants to raise the minimum wage to $9 or $10. And for some reason, we cannot get through these liberals' heads that minimum wage, first of all, any minimum wage is detrimental to the economy and to the job market. And raising the minimum wage to $9, $10, $15 if you're a McDonald's union worker or somebody paid by a union to protest in front of McDonald's, it's going to make things much, much worse, because why are businesses that are already struggling to succeed because of the economy that this president, by the way, who has been president for 5 years, is responsible for at this point, how are these businesses that are already struggling to make payroll going to make it without cutting something? And believe me, it will be the number or hours that employees work. They'll start firing employees or cutting their hours drastically if you raise the minimum wage $2 or $3 an hour. They're not going to make it. Unemployment's going to raise people's hours. This president has turned this economy into a part-time economy. Yeah, he's creating jobs, fine. They're all part-time jobs. He's taking full-time jobs, turning them into part-time jobs. That's not going to help grow the economy. That is not what the American dream is about. And that's the clip I have here, is our president talking about the increase in inequality. Places like Canada have less inequality in opportunity and in wages than the United States of America. Well, look, people didn't come to this country for equality in that sense. They came for liberty. Liberty breeds equality, at least equality of opportunity, or of, opportunity. Everybody isn't born into the same situation, but nobody is excluded. Nobody is excluded from trying to gain whatever they want to gain when you have liberty. But Obama's out here parroting the Pope, saying that capitalism's wrong, that businesses shouldn't be allowed to pay whatever they want to pay, that it's ruining this country. It's not capitalism. People and businesses wanting to make more money is exactly what drives innovation. It's what drives a better lifestyle. And who is the president to decide that these successful business owners should give up more of their money to pay their workers? They should give up what they worked for, what they earned. It should be redistributed to people lower on the totem pole. People who didn't make as successful of a run at life as the owner did. These people who are funding medical breakthroughs, who are improving people's lives day in and a day out, who are making things easier. That stuff doesn't happen overnight. The government does not give you that sort of thing. Somebody spent their time and money making products that make your life easier. Who are you, Mr. President, to tell them that they need to give some of their hard-earned money away if they don't want to? Here he is talking about the inequality and the greater increase of inequality ruining the American dream.
Alongside increased inequality, we've seen diminished levels of upward mobility in recent years. A child born in the top 20% has about a 2 in 3 chance of staying at or near the top. A child born into the bottom 20% has a less than 1 in 20 shot at making it to the top. He's 10 times likelier to stay where he is.
Likelier.
In fact, statistics show not only that our levels of income inequality rank near countries like Jamaica and Argentina, but that it is harder today for a child born here in America to improve her station in life than it is for children in most of our wealthy allies, countries like Canada or Germany or France. They have greater mobility than we do, not less. Mm-hmm. And the idea that so many children are born into poverty in the wealthiest nation on earth is heartbreaking enough. But the idea that a child may never be able to escape that poverty because she lacks a decent education or health care or a community that views her future as their own, that should offend all of us. And it should compel us to action. We are a better country than this. So let me repeat. The combined trends of increased inequality and decreasing mobility pose a fundamental threat to the American dream, our way of life, and what we stand for around the globe.
Okay, first of all, wealthiest nation on earth, that you drove $17 trillion into debt. Just gonna toss that out there a little bit. But the American dream was not to be so successful that you could run a business and employ people. You could give people jobs. You could let other people live the American dream. You could enable that. And then to have the government come in thug style and tell you that you had to give that money away. The nations where the government are allowed to completely control wages, I'm thinking military states like North Korea, those sorts of things. Is that what we want? Because that's what this leads to. When you let the government control wages, when you let the government control all of the money and the flow of money and commerce, you lead to a police state because you give them all the power. And that's not what this country was founded on. We're reading the Constitution, and we're done with the Constitution as ratified. Nowhere in there did it say that the government should regulate wages, or even come close to anything that might give you the idea that that was the intention. Now, really quick, I just have a minute or two. I want to talk about, there was a guy, I think he was in Georgia. He plugged his car into an outlet of a local middle school. His Leaf. So if that tells you anything about him, his Nissan Leaf electric car, plugs it in. He gets arrested for theft. Now I'm seeing the internet blowing up of, this isn't theft, he only took a nickel's worth of electricity. Well, first of all, it wasn't really his electricity. Well, yes, it was. He pays taxes. Okay. Well, then if he wanted to borrow a window out of the school, he could go borrow the window. Is that what you're saying? Or if he needs a pencil, when the school's open, he can go and take a pencil, or a computer, he needs a computer, he can go take it. It's not exactly how it works. Now, this is exactly what we run into when we have so many public things. Public school, in general, doesn't work, and this is one of the reasons. Same with libraries and things like that. Who owns it? Well, everybody owns it. So I can use it however I want? Well, no, there's restrictions, but I own it. How can you restrict it? Well, because it's government, but I pay taxes. Right, so there's this dance, and it never ends up very well for the citizen. It always ends up in favor of government control. The other thing is, it doesn't matter if he only stole, apparently charged the car for 20 minutes. It doesn't matter if he stole only a nickel's worth of electricity. Theft is theft, like the chief of police said. Theft is theft. Now, this guy that stole the electricity says, I don't agree that every taking of something without permission is theft. Well, I think it is. If you take something and you don't have permission to take it, that is stealing because it's not yours. So that is theft. So I don't know how this guy thinks that it's not theft. It is clearly theft. So I don't understand the big, sure, I understand the argument that it's probably going to cost more. It costs more to arrest him, going to cost more to have a trial if it goes that far than it did to just pay for the electricity. But where do you draw the line? That's the problem. Where is the line drawn? If I come up with a device, I certainly won't plug into my neighbor's outlet and take their electricity. I know that's illegal. right? And morally wrong, the same with taking something from a school, because that's also my electricity that he took, right? Or at least the other local taxpayers. The other thing is, if I come up with a device, if I have a device that I can store enough electricity to run all of the electricity in my home for a day on, I just need an outlet to charge it. Can I take that to the school and charge that up and then go home and run my home electricity on it? Is it really the 5 cents that matters? Or is it the principle that taking something that isn't yours is wrong? Let me know what you think on that, because I definitely got in a few heated debates today about whether this was right or not. And believe me, I understand the common sense of probably could have just told him to unplug it and move on. But where do you draw the line? That's all the time I have. NathanNephew.com, MyParentsOpenCarry.com. And of course, stay tuned in right here to Red State Talk Radio. See you next week.